I'm going to review the new F50 made for women, but I'm also going to be comparing it to the men's F50 to see what differences there are and how important these football boots can be. Now let's start off with the look of these boots. The F50 comes in a laced and laceless version, as well as the mid-cut, which has got a collar on it, which I think was currently already released, but the biggest change comes to the fit of the boot and the sole plate. Let's talk about that. When we compare the men's in white to the women's in purple, they've changed the stud configuration slightly and added this circular, more conical shaped stud in the middle, which apparently is going to help with your pivot and rotation. They've also added an extra stud here in the medial part of the football boot to offer some more support, because they understand that women's feet are a little bit more delicate and that the weight distribution can be different to men. And the other important difference between these and the men's boot is the fit. Now these are narrower because women's feet traditionally are more narrow than a men's foot composition. So they've adapted the fit in the middle, but I'm actually going to try these boots on, and I'm going to put one boot on with the men's and one boot on with the women's to see how different it is, because I've got wide feet and I'm obviously a man, so we will see how they compare. So I've gone for my 9 UK on both boots, and the first thing I'm going to say is the length is probably pretty much the exact same. I've got the same amount of room in both boots. However, the width is the biggest difference, because this boot has sort of got rid of all this excess material in here. As you can see, look, I can squidge all of this in on the men's boot, and on the women's there's just nothing spare there, and that's obviously because women's feet are much more narrow, so that fit is going to match it much better. But I think the external heel counter has changed slightly as well, and there's a bit more padding. This boot feels much more snug, which as a man it should do, because I've got wider feet anyway, but I think this is going to be a solid option for the women's players out there, and this is definitely being tailored to the females of the game. As for the mid-cut option, there's not a male alternative at the moment, so I can't compare the two. But what I will definitely say is when we look at the laceless football boots, it's not marketing. This does fit and feel different to this football boot. It is similar, but I'd say this is probably a better version and way more tailored to the women's players. So I hope that review helps. Make sure you drop a like and follow, and let me know which football boots you want me to test next.